Good morning, freshmen. It's Friday morning. I'm recording this for you. I feel super sleepy, and I'm going to be teaching you from the big screen today as the sun is going to be in my room. Anyway, I want to introduce your literary analysis paper. This is going to be a major grade. You can see on the screen that we've got several steps. So before we get overwhelmed with all of these bullet points, what I want to just do is talk you through the terms we're going to need to write the essay and sort of how we're going to break this up and make it manageable. Okay, so you are right now doing step one, reviewing symbols theme with this PowerPoint. I want you to watch this in Edpuzzle before class on Tuesday. Okay, so in class on Tuesday, we are going to review for Catcher in the Rye with a Kahoot. Woohoo, Kahoot! And then we're also going to work on this chart with a partner. It's further down on this assignment. You're going to read through the topics. I think there are 6 or 7, and choose one that you find interesting. Okay, so you kind of have some wiggle room here to find something that you're comfortable writing about and that you're interested in writing about. Your essay is going to center around observations and patterns. So we've seen Holden talk about the ducks several times. We've seen Holden resort to lying several times. We've seen Holden talk about himself as a madman several times. We've seen his hat appear, right? So different symbols, which we know those are objects or characters that represent abstract things, or motifs, lying, alienation, isolation. Holden is literally walking or traveling. So we can kind of talk about those things as you start brainstorming. So you're going to say in your essay, no first person, but we'll take that out after. I think, the hat always appears here because Salinger is trying to convey this idea, right? So how do these symbols, motifs, repeated ideas convey a thematic idea? All right, so we'll map out our essay. Notice I don't have due dates here yet. Those will be coming along the way. After we take your test, we're basically working on the paper. Your paper will have 3 body paragraphs this time, and they'll move in order of the book as it happens. So 6 total quotes. So if you know you want to write about his red hunting hat, or you know you want to write about the ducks, you can already go start marking those quotes. Your final essay will have an introduction, will have a conclusion, and it will be a major grade. All right, so as we, this is what we're going to work on Tuesday. I'm going to jump over to a PowerPoint that will help us. Let's see if we can do it on here. Some kind of slide. Okay, so that will help us talk about our essay here. We want to think about writers using strategies to reveal themes. So these are patterns. These are things you observe as you're reading, right? Maybe you got to the middle of the chapter or the middle of the book and you're like, the way Holden treats Sally is kind of opposite to how he treats or thinks about Jane. Could I do something with that? Can I make some meaning out of that? Okay, symbols, there's a ton listed that we'll go through. Different images, things we can sort of visualize or hear or smell, that sort of thing. Motifs, repeated structures, and then of course the character development and changes. So oftentimes when we look at a character change or how they grow, we can see a thematic idea. We're going to watch this video, hopefully. She's a little cheesy like me. She jumped to a new screen. Let's see what happens. She likes dancing. What's not to love?
Can't get that song out of your head? Don't worry. It could help you write your next paper. Stay with me. There's nothing worse than having a song stuck in your head. I take that back. There's nothing worse than having a bad song stuck in your head. And you know it happens. There's always some little piece of a tune, sometimes just a rhythm or a specific beat, that lodges in your skull and then you can't get it out. That's kind of what a motif is like. Think of it as that piece of the melody that the author can't get enough of. The idea or element he or she repeats over and over and over. Oh, and here's another thing about motifs. You'll pick up on them not just because of the repetition, but also because of the way they fit in with the author's message or theme. Motifs
I mean, she's like my soul sister, right? Okay. So, let's go back here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about, she talked about like parts of songs that get stuck in your head. So think about parts of the story that get stuck in your head. Miss Loop, why can't he stop talking about the ducks? Miss Loop, why is he obsessed with catching? Miss Loop, why are there windows, right? These are elements that Salinger has put in there on purpose to help you figure out theme. The next video we are not going to watch because it's a little bit longer, but I am going to link it here in the Edpuzzle so you can go in and say, okay, well, what is symbolism? And you can take those steps to help your understanding. Okay, so kind of jump, we're going to talk about how motifs, images, symbols reveal themes. Remember from The Secret Life of Bees, a topic, so a thematic topic or a thematic subject is a single word or phrase. Love, growing up, loss of innocence, alienation, isolation, grief, death, childhood. See where I'm going here? A theme becomes a full sentence with a verb. And you can think about a verb that shows cause and effect. Love leads to loss. Okay, you can even expand that. What type of love? Maybe unreturned love. Maybe love leads to loss of self. Maybe love leads to a loss of selfishness. Notice how these are going in different directions. And so you can really think about what the author is trying to tell you. This is a human issue. We can all understand this or experience this. It's universal. Maybe if we haven't experienced it, we can at least relate to the emotions and ideas that would be within that topic. So you need to focus this by narrowing to a specific theme. Otherwise, it might go, all over the place in your essay. So the part of your thesis that's going to be argumentative is called a claim. Okay, so this is where you'll return to this slide when you're thinking about your theme. Maybe something leads to something else, right? So this keeps you from saying, the theme is growing up. Well, growing up leads to what? Or is is loss of innocence involved in the growing up process? So we want to really start stretching that out, and we're going to work on that as we write your thesis statements that include a thematic statement. Okay, so if you look at this slide here, this is kind of what we're going to do. Now, my strategies and symbols are all over the place. I listed several of them. So next week in class, you're going to have a chart and list, okay, Holden's red hat. What thematic idea is that connected to? Hypocrisy, what is that connected to? Ducks, what is that connected to? My thematic idea, my observation, is that growing up is an inevitable process. That means it's going to happen no matter what. It involves change and knowledge of society's flaws. Okay, so that's it. What I'm saying is an argument in the book. So then I can extend that to a thesis statement in The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, Holden's red hat, and musings on the museum. Okay, so I'm hinting here. I'm not sure if I can write with my pen. Let's see. I can. These are the patterns. This is the what. What is in the book, right? What strategies does the author use to convey theme? And so what do they do? Well, they reveal that Holden is misunderstood and alienated, conveying, ooh, that's a nice word, a lack of understanding about the world and a refusal to acknowledge, amplifies, it should be an S, amplifies the pain of growing up. Notice these verbs, reveals, conveys, we might even add, highlights, amplifies was good too. Emphasizes, signifies, what else can we say? Portrays. So these are some verbs that you are going to most likely have, right, before that. So you can think about dividing your thesis into two parts. What is in there, right? So my paper is going to be about the red hat and, as he talks about the museum. What does it show about Holden? That would depend on your prompt. And then conveying. And behind conveying is going to be a thematic idea that we can all relate to. And notice in the thematic part, there are no character names because it's universal. It's for all of us. So you can think two parts of your thesis, and maybe behind, like my big giant red slash mark, these being some great verbs to use. Okay, the thesis statement is the blueprint for your essay, right? It's a roadmap. It tells you where it's going. It's going to be clear and logical. It's an outline for your essay. And then again, these are kind of in reversing of the order that I just showed you on the other slide, right? What is the observation? What are the patterns? What is the symbolism that you're going to talk about? What is the character change? What are the motifs? And then the claim part is your theme. Conveys what? Portrays what? Highlights what? Thesis statement is one sentence, has the title, author, genre, remember tag, uses strong verbs. We just went over some of those. Is an arguable claim. That is your theme. And it's appropriate in scope to the assignment. It signifies how much or how little you're going to talk about in your essay. We are going to do this in class on Tuesday, but I'm going to pause this in the Edpuzzle so you can jot down one connection that you see so far. We are also going to talk about this on Tuesday. So we'll talk about answering a prompt. I'll show you some examples from the assignment. And then we're going to say, okay, what are aspects of that answer? What are parts of loss of innocence? What are parts of happiness in the world? What are parts of growing up? And we'll kind of map this out. So just stay tuned. Your paper is going to have 6 total quotes. We're going to talk more about topic sentences and how we organize our essays. So we can look at how does hold and progress. And maybe through the lens of those symbols, right? We might talk about how he deteriorates. Again, symbols or motifs. And then we can think about where he is in the novel, right? Setting. How does he grow or change? And again, by focusing on the patterns, right? We can think about organizing least important to most important. We can think about big picture, right? How Holden changes. So as we go through though, oops, sorry guys. We go in chronological order. We go in order of the novel. That's how we organize our paper. All right, essay terminology. Our body paragraphs. We are going to have 3 of them. They must begin with a topic sentence, include evidence to prove it. That's going to be a symbol or motif, most likely. And then commentary, your discussion of those pieces of evidence. How do they work? Topic sentences. We're going to hone in and really focus on these during this essay. It's a big part of your rubric grade. So it's going to be the first sentence of each body paragraph. And it includes a link to the thesis. We're going to talk about word glue. If your thesis is about loss of innocence, growing up, fear of change, alienation, some of pieces of those words or synonyms should be in your topic sentences. If your thesis statement says you're going to talk about the museum and the red hunting hat, probably those symbolic elements are going to appear in a topic sentence. They're going to tell, these topic sentences tell what the subject of the paragraph is about. And then they're going to show the progression of the essay. Again, body paragraphs, this is what they're going to look like. So you'll have, notice, a quote here, quote. And these look like chunks, right? Like an APE, basically. So that's kind of what you're doing. You're putting 2 APEs under this body paragraph. Okay. Let's jump over there. Sure, keep the annotations. We go back to your assignment. We're going to work on this on Tuesday. You can scroll through and see your topics over the weekend. Lots to look at, lots to choose from. And then on Tuesday, we're also going to do this and map a thesis statement idea together with this sample prompt. Sorry, my kids are back there making a lot of noise. And we'll go from there. And I also have linked on the assignment some other helpful PowerPoints that we have used already. All right, thanks for being great students. I will see you guys hopefully in class on Tuesday.